up, you guys? My name is Peace, and I want to welcome you guys to my channel, A Piece by Peace. So today I wanted to speak on a topic that is super important because it can save you time and money in the long run when you first start entertaining the idea of starting a business. There are 1,000,001 videos on step-by-step how to start a small business, but I feel like no one really covers the things that you should consider before you just dive right in. For those of you who are new here, I started this channel as a way to document the process and journey of me starting and growing my business, Deloy, where I currently sell control wear or shapewear, whatever you want to call it, that prevents dresses and skirts from riding up. I'm by no means a professional, and everything I plan on covering today are just some of the things I've gathered and learned on my own through either experience or research, and may help you as you begin your journey as well. There are 10 points in total that I plan on covering, and if at any point you feel as if you need more details or context, I also wrote an article on the same exact topic, which I highly suggest you guys check out because I always update everything I cover as I grow and learn more information. And one last thing before I get started, I did create a free printable guide for you guys to download that lists all the points and questions that I'll be mentioning in this video. So feel free to answer them along with me. And without any further delay, let's get right into it. The first and most important point to consider is problem solving. What problem are you solving, and is there a gap in the market that you believe that you can fill? When answering this question, I feel like most people get it backwards and make the mistake of starting a business based on the problem that they want to solve instead of solving a problem that people actually have. Let me break it down for you even further and give you a random example. I don't know if this is the best example, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Let's say there's a town. In this town, there is a coffee shop on every corner. Townsfolk are getting angsty, and you can feel that there's a desire for some diversity. Two people sense this, and one decides to open a tea shop and the other a juice bar. Who do you think is more successful? Okay, now let me give you a little bit more context. The person opening up the tea shop made this decision because they prefer tea and figured technically it is an alternative to coffee, and tea still has a little bit of caffeine, so everyone still gets their fix, right? Seems like a win-win. The other person conducted a few random interviews and landed on the idea of a juice bar. Both launched at the same time, and it turns out that the juice bar was a hit and more successful than the tea shop. This is because the tea shop owner made their business based on what they thought the problem was, the lack of diversity, and came up with a solution that they wanted, a tea shop, because they preferred tea. The juice bar owner solved the problem that the townspeople actually had, and it wasn't just a lack of diversity, but a desire for an alternative to coffee that would make them feel better, healthier, and give them a more natural form of energy so they wouldn't have to solely rely on caffeine from coffee anymore. The juice bar owner figured this out by asking the people what they wanted and catered to his customers' wants and needs and not just his own personal wants. I say this to say you need to understand your target audience's desires and pain points and literally ask if this is something that they even want in the first place. Otherwise, why are you doing this? Who is this for? And why should people spend money on you instead of your competitors? Which brings me to my next point. Competition. There is competition everywhere, and you need to determine what sets you apart from the competition. You need to determine what your unique value proposition is. If you're selling cookies, are they made with half the calories of an average cookie? If you're selling courses, is yours the cheapest out of all your competitors while still providing the same value? If you're in fashion, is your quality the highest? No matter what business you're in, you can benefit from creating a competitive analysis chart. I linked an article down below that gives you a complete breakdown of what this is. But essentially, this is a chart that gives you a visual representation of where your competitors fall in relation to each other, and allows you to identify gaps where you can possibly fill and surpass your competition. These are completely customizable, and you can do a comparison on a price versus quality spectrum or an accessibility versus trendy spectrum. All in all, this is a great place to start when you're trying to figure out what your unique value proposition is. So, manufacturing. Once you've figured out what you want to create and sell, the next logical line of thinking is, how are you going to create all of it? If you're in fashion, are you going to sew your pieces by yourself or have them mass produced at a factory? Do you want to customize your pieces or resell what's already available on wholesale websites like Fashion Go or Alibaba? If you're making food items, are you going to rent a commercial kitchen to prepare your products or bake them at home? Now, you don't want to get caught up like the pink sauce lady, so be careful with that. If you're selling digital products, what software will you need? Will you need to hire a copywriter? Personally, since my piece was custom, I decided to work one-on-one with a professional seamstress. She had 25 years of experience, and I explained to her what my vision was, and we were able to create a product together. And from there, she put me in contact with the manufacturer that she trusted, and they created my first batch of inventory that I now sell today. The manufacturing process really depends on the type of product that you plan on selling and can take a long time. So it's worth looking into as soon as you possibly can. Marketing. There are so many different ways to market your products, and this is probably the most difficult stage, I would say, only because you are trying to figure out which avenue works best with you and your products. For example, I knew my products paired well with a video-based platform because it was something that needed to be explained and seen in action. So while I wasn't getting as much success with an image-based platform like Instagram, whenever I did post on TikTok, I had much more success. If you're selling lashes, planners, stickers, you might do well with an image-based platform where you don't necessarily need videos to show what your product is and for people to understand what you're selling. However, keep in mind that algorithms are constantly changing. So you need to constantly test all sorts of platforms and focus your efforts on the ones that reward you the most. You can also market in person, such as pop-up shops, for example. Word of mouth is very powerful because people buy from people. So if you aren't the best at social media, there is nothing more powerful than connecting and forming relationships with your customers in person. I kind of want to try or start a series where I try different marketing tactics for 30 days each to see how it affects my business. So keep an eye out for that one, guys. Ugh, legal stuff. Let's get into it. There are 4 main types of legal business structures: sole proprietorship, partnerships, limited liability companies, LLC, and corporations, C Corp and S Corp. Again, I do have a link that goes in depth about the differences between all of these structures, but to keep all of this brief, most small businesses are either sole proprietorships or LLCs. With the sole proprietorship, there is no distinction between you and your business. You are one. While an LLC provides a bit more protection on the off chance that you are involved in a lawsuit. You aren't necessarily sued, but your business is. I chose to form an LLC mainly because it's more professional, and I wanted that clear distinction between me and my business. I wanted separate bank accounts, separate tax identification numbers, separate everything. LLCs do cost more, and there's a bit more of a process that goes behind getting one. So I suggest you only form one if you've tested the market and you seriously plan on doing your business long term. And just to elaborate a little bit more on what I mean by this, once you have an idea of what you want to sell, you know how you want to market, and you have a general sense of who your target audience is, Go out there and start testing. Create a prototype and advertise it on your social media and see how people are responding. Are you getting positive engagement? Are people asking you where they can purchase this? Are people pre-ordering? You want to get a general sense of what your potential customers think. The last thing you want to do is spend months creating a product that nobody wants to buy. So test. Even if you don't have anything concrete, you can start collecting emails so you can retarget those people again in the future when you do launch. When you have a general sense of who your target audience is, you can start figuring out ways to reach out to other people similar to them. Also, keep in mind that this is the best time to pivot. You might have come in wanting to sell one thing only to discover that there is a demand for something else. You will learn so much when you start listening to what your audience wants. And once you start listening to your audience, you can slowly start to figure out where to sell to them. There are so many different sales channels that you can use. You can either sell on your own website, you can sell directly on Instagram or TikTok, or you can create your own Etsy or Amazon shop that already has traffic going to their website and take advantage of that. I know one shop who even sells on Facebook Marketplace, and they are so successful. As you get to know your customers, you'll slowly understand more and more how and where people like to purchase their products, whether that be online or in person. And because there are so many avenues, what you can do so you're not overwhelmed is look at what your competition is doing. Look at what works for them and try to replicate it and tweak it so it works for you and your audience. All right, back to the legal stuff. You need to look into the necessary documents you'll need for your business. If you've decided to form an LLC, you need to figure out how to file for your articles of organization. You need to figure out how to get your EIN number, and depending on the type of business you're running, you'll need certain licenses, like a resale license if you're planning on reselling products, or a liquor license if you're going down that route. You do have the option of hiring a professional so you're not just out here stumbling through the dark. You also need to understand taxes. Are you going to pay estimated taxes quarterly? What percentage of taxes should you be collecting from your customers? What tax exemptions do you qualify for? You'll definitely want to speak to a CPA just to get those things figured out, because no one wants to owe the government money. Come closer. Look at me. I do not care what anyone says to you. You need money to start a business, and anyone who says otherwise is lying to you. Think about it. How are you going to pay for all of your supplies? Are you going to create them from home? You'll still need to buy supplies for that. Or will you be importing the products made by your manufacturer? If so, have you accounted for shipping from your manufacturer's place to where you'll be selling your products? If you're not selling physical products, what website will you be using, and how much do they charge for hosting? Are you going to pay someone to design your website? Are you going to budget for marketing ads or influencer marketing if you go down that route? If you're forming an LLC, how much does it cost to form one in your state? These are all different things that you have to keep in mind and plan ahead for. So it's important that you have consistent income coming in, whether that be from your 9-to-5 or any other side hustle, because those funds will fund your business. It's so easy to fall into debt when you start a business, and that's the last thing you want to worry about when starting. So get a general idea, it doesn't have to be too exact, on how much you should save before starting your business. I do have a free startup budget list that you guys can download, linked in the article I wrote, so you can start planning how much you'll need to save today. So if you haven't realized it by now, the whole point of my video is that you need to plan ahead before you start a business, especially if you have other responsibilities like work, school, or kids. Time blocking will be your best friend, because no matter how busy you are, if you can set aside time each day to reflect and work on any of the points I've mentioned throughout this entire video, that starts to create the consistency that you'll need when you first start your business. Once you start a business, you cannot fall off. and you need to get into the habit of at least once a day sitting down and setting time aside to do what needs to be done for your business. If you can only set aside 1 hour each day, that's fine. But try to plan ahead and do not give up on your dreams. Okay guys, that's all from me today. I wanted to keep each point brief because this video would have been way too long. And on top of that, I do want to revisit some of these topics again in the future and give you guys even more information on the things that I've gathered. Also, like I mentioned before, there is a free printable of all the topics that I covered today with questions that you can fill out and answer on your own. There is a budget tracker also linked in my blog post as well. I think it'll be really helpful for you guys and it's free, so what's the harm in checking it out? I hope today's video was super helpful for you all and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!